Okay, now let's start the meeting. Can I motion to call to order to start this meeting?
I'll move that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, all approved. Then next is the motion for approval of agenda.
I'll move it.
I'll move it.
Okay, move it. Someone would like to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, all approved. Next is FSU President, welcome, Katyayani.
Thank you, Katie. So good evening and welcome to the Open Members Meeting 2020. I am Katyayani Thakur, the President of the Fanshawe Student Union, and this special virtual meeting has been called by Fanshawe Student Union's Board of Directors to recommend certain amendments to our bylaws. These amendments were developed to provide better clarity and compliance with the governance process and legal requirements. While some of these changes are mostly housekeeping, a majority of them center around two key items that were the result of a governance process review conducted by the board with the engagement of a governance consultant. The two major changes revolve around the first being revising the definition of an FSU member to include those full-time students who are actively progressing within a program. This will include students who may not be currently registered, but are actively progressing and currently on a co-op or break semester. The second big change would be providing additional clarity on the roles, responsibility, and accountability of the FSU president and the FSU general manager in relation to the board. For ease of convenience, Paul Massey, who's general manager of the FSU, and myself as the president will walk you through these changes. Towards the end of the meeting, you as members of the Fanshawe Student Union will have the opportunity to ask questions and then vote if you find these newly proposed amendments to the bylaws acceptable. Could we please pull up the document?
Okay, Katie, what I'll do is I'll share that screen. I'll do that.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
I'm going to turn my video off to do that. And hopefully this works. Is this, so I've got it on there. So if, please let me know if someone does not see it. If you're not able to read that, then just indicate so. Just give it 10 seconds. And then if we don't hear anything, then we'll assume everybody's able to read the document.
Thanks for confirming, Gavin.
Remote control of your screen.
I've just asked for control of your screen if you don't mind.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, thank you. So it'll be easier for me to just scroll down.
Perfect.
I'm not able to, okay, I am. Just a sec. Okay, I got it.
So just to clarify, right, Katie, what Katie's going to present is this document will show the all changes as noted. Any changes will be identified. Strike-throughs and or additions will be included from the original document. This document was approved by the board the last meeting.
Right, thanks, Paul. So there's no changes here. Let's proceed to the first change. The first change is in section 3.2, which is, includes the definition of members. So what basically all these strike-throughs mean, most of them are housekeeping, as we said. What it means that currently, as of today, before this open members meeting, co-op students and students on their official break who were not registered were not considered as members of the FSU. So all full-time students, we are proposing this. By we, I mean it's the board of directors recommended. All full-time students of Fanshawe College who are actively progressing in a program as determined by the Office of Registrar are qualified to become members of the student union upon payment of the FSU membership fees. So it would mean any student who is currently in a co-op term or in a program, but on an official break and actively progressing into a next semester, they'd be considered as members of the student union. Paul, do you want to add something to it?
No, I think that's quite clear. Yeah, they're just, as long as they're progressing into, upon taking office, so to be eligible to be directors, to be eligible to be a member, and then thus to be a director or any other position, but to be a member of the student union, to be actively progressing.
Right. The second,
we don't want to penalize students that are progressing academically and could be in a co-op.
Right, and this was an ongoing action item since a very long time, and it's great that the board recommended this, and this is the perfect time for us to include those students who were previously not included as members. Section 3.3 includes the period of membership. Again, housekeeping changes here. Instead of student activity fee, we replace it by applicable FSU membership fees. So no changes such over there. Okay. Section 3.4 includes housekeeping changes. So as we touched base in section 3.2, so you don't have to be registered, but you have to be actively progressing in a program. So if you're on an official break, that's counted too. So that change has been made here. 4.1 has 4.1 has housekeeping changes. Okay. 4.1D includes clarity, like hold office, who can hold office. So it's basically a director of the student union. So it's that. And the president. So in the past, the line about the president of the student union was not provided. So this just includes that for better clarity. That was anyways being followed, but now we proposed it as being included in the bylaws. Okay, next is suspension. Wait one sec. Suspension of membership privileges. Not able to scroll down.
Oh.
Or could you please scroll down?
Yep, I'll do that. Okay, so there's no changes there in section 6. I can explain that. I'll get to the top there. Fees. Yeah. So basically, it looks like there's a lot of changes there. There really isn't that much substance to these changes. Most of it is housekeeping, and adding clarity in language to the existing procedure. There's 3 really steps in approving fee increases. And as you know, fee increases of the student union are become mandatory universal fees of the members, and the members as were previously defined, as you know. So this actually is a clause to protect the members, really, for any, so that the board, the board, isn't able to make unilaterally increases beyond certain thresholds without going to the members, right? So basically, if there's an increase that's less than 5%, right, the board can approve. OPI, there's a reference there of OPI that's been removed. But OPI is a mechanism of cost increases, Ontario Price Index. So basically there is, in the bylaws previously indicated that there would be an automatic increase of the OPI. That is often done, and it often should be done. So the price increases are annually done based on cost increases. So it's not major step increases every 5 years. It's not really fair to the students that way. So, but it's not necessarily always going to be the case, but it will never exceed 5%. Unless it's recommended by the board to be greater than 5%, it has to be taken to the members in 2 stages. If it's between 5 and 10%, there has to be a petition put forth to the members. If all the members, all 19 to 20,000 members would have the opportunity to state an objection, a petition, state an objection to this increase. If more than 10%, of the population had an objection of that, it must go to referendum. A referendum is a full vote, a mandatory vote of all members on that increase. If the increase is originally proposed to be greater than 10%, it must go to referendum immediately. There's only been maybe a handful of referendums. At one time, the last referendum that occurred actually was when the health plan fee was increased. The student health plan fee was increased, and it was to add the component of dental, which obviously was going to increase the student fee more than 10%. Now, that isn't part of the membership fee, but it follows the same criteria. The membership fee, I can't remember the last time, if ever, before my time, it might have been years ago, has ever gone to referendum. But for all student union fee increases, the referendum rule is applied. So it's to protect the membership on large fee increases. And there might be reasons to do it, as I indicated. But the membership has to approve it if it's over 10% by a referendum, which is a vote, a yes/no vote of all the members. So that's basically to make things very clear in language there. It's important to talk about it, but that's not changed the spirit of and substance of what's been happening. It's just to make it very clear.
Paul?
Yes?
Hi, we can't see the screen. Do you mind?
Oh, no.
Frozen.
Want me to reshare? Is that what happened?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, just give me a second, okay? It should be up. Let me know, Katie, if you see it.
No, Paul, maybe I can try sharing it now.
Yeah, I can, no one else can see it. Oh, gee. Sometimes this happens, I'm sorry. I tried to reshare it and it came up again, and sorry you can't see it, I don't know why. Do you want to try, Katie? I'll stop my share and let you do that. Is that okay?
Yep, oh, we can see it now. Oh,
Oh.
it's gone. No worries, I'll pull it up.
I'll do it. Do you want me to do it or you can do it, Katie? What would you like?
Anything, Paul, like I've done.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Can you see it, guys?
Yes, you can see that.
Okay, thanks. Just scroll down to where we were.
Yep, down to 6.
So Paul's discussed all these things. Let's proceed.
It also talks about in section 6, just the last point, is that there is restrictions and protocols on notification when it becomes to a petition and referendum. Students, the students have to be provided due notice and proper notice.
Okay, so 7.1, we've just included next to the directors. It should have had president, but it didn't. So we just placed that term there. Right. 8.1 talks about the Student Administrative Council. So a director's term of the office shall, to the fullest extent possible, start on the 1st of May of the year elected and end on the 30th April the following year. So just that change. So in order for a director to run for office, we want them to, you know, be able to fulfill their term with the student union. That's why that point's been placed there.
Exactly, and that ties into the fiscal year, May to April of the student union, the corporate fiscal year, which also ties into, you know, it's based on semesters as well, but it's the fiscal year.
Right. 8.2, the role of the Student Administrative Council. Again, few housekeeping changes for better clarity. So the Student Administrative Council shall always act in the best interest of the student union. Instead of manage and supervise, the role of the Student Administrative Council is to oversee and govern and act according to what they feel is the best interest of the student union. Just that change is there. So though the Student Administrative Council is not, engaging in operations on a daily basis, but they do have an oversight of the management of the student union. So this point is basically the Student Administrative Council shall have oversight of the management of the student union by the president and general manager. So it's basically the president and general manager who are in charge of the operations, but the Student Administrative Council sort of oversees that, as you'd see further that the president and general manager will now report to the board. Such oversight shall include, but not be limited to, the following broad tasks: reviewing, becoming familiar with, and understanding the existing strategic direction and directives of the student union, amending the direction and directives where necessary, and ensuring that the responsibility of the fulfillment of such strategic direction and directives is clearly delegated to the president and GM. Excuse me. Implementing governance policies and procedures that clearly articulate the roles of the Student Administrative Council, members, officers, president, and the general manager. Sorry, I'm just having an itch in my throat. Excuse me. Ensuring that such policies and procedures are followed, and conducting regular reviews and, where necessary, amendments to such policies and procedures. Paul, do you mind taking it to the C section?
Yep.
Perfect.
So again, receiving, considering, and acting upon all matters as referred to by the president or general manager. It's also, or providing further direction on. So the general manager and the president will have responsibility to provide matters to the board, and the board can actually provide direction, right, and act on those matters, but providing direction back to the president and general manager. So it basically provides further clarification. General manager and the president are responsible to the board, but the board will direct the general manager and president to act on those matters. I'll continue, Katie, until you give me the thumbs up. Is that okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Sorry, I don't know. It was just
Little, yeah.
my phone got a bit caught up. Okay. So qualifications. Anyone who falls within one or more of the following categories will not be eligible to be nominated for elections as a director. So anybody who's less than that, we've not really basically changed the terms. So instead of using that line, the following persons are disqualified, this is just for better clarity. The terms are the same. Other than this, anybody who's not a member within 10 days of the date of election or appointment as a director. So we've just changed that to anyone who is not a member, just for better understanding. Anyone who is not in a position as per section 3.2 to continue as a member during the entire proposed directorship term. So this speaks of the definition of a member that we covered in the section 3.2. It's basically that. We've just cross-linked it to that. Anybody who's an employee of the student union. So you cannot be employed either in a part-time or full-time capacity, but along with being a director. So that basically highlights that point. Anyone who falls within one or more of the following categories will not be eligible to take office as a director. Anybody who's been found under the Substitute Decisions Act 1992 or under the Mental Health Act to be incapable of managing property. Anybody who has been found to be incapable by any court in Canada or elsewhere. Anyone who has a status of bankrupt. Anyone who is not a member, anyone who did not carry. So the GPA is basically the same, but we've just, changed the language around it. So anybody who did not carry at least 2.5 GPA during full academic semester immediately prior to the commencement of office, if the GPA for such semester has been determined by the time of commitment of office. So this basically highlights the point, right before you take the office, you have to have a GPA of minimum 2.5 in order to, take office as a director. So anyone who is in the academic semester prior to the commencement of office was in a full-time program that consisted of less than 4 credit courses and failed to maintain a passing grade in all of the credit courses, if the grades for such courses have been determined by the time of commencement of office. So Paul, do you want to elaborate on that point a bit?
Yeah, and that's one that we talked about, that that may in the future with further discussion perhaps might be removed. Because what it does is basically, if the college through the registrar's office defines a student as full-time but they're taking less than 4, most of the time it could be for specific unique reasons, i.e. could be accommodation. We don't want to penalize students, but we also want to make sure that students are actually taking a satisfactory load, a full-time load of courses. We did talk about that, and I think that we can, with further deliberation, we didn't really want to watch that. We did, as a board, we recall talking about maybe removing that. But I think what we need to do is, the recommendation is that we revisit this in the winter semester with the registrar to make sure that we're understanding that the great majority of the students that would be in this case are there for accommodation reasons. And we don't want to penalize anybody for those reasons. And if that's the case, then maybe we perhaps could go to the board and recommend a further change to that, maybe perhaps removing that item, which would then be taken to the members like you at our AGM, right? At our AGM. So if that's the case, we can, but I think it's prudent to maybe get some more clarity from the registrar's office. It's very rare, quite frankly. It's a very rare situation, but it's just to protect the student union too.
Right. And anyone who is an employee of the student union, a director will automatically be disqualified from continuing to serve as a director if one or more of the following events occurs during the term of office. So director is found under the Substitute Decisions Act 92 or under the Mental Health Act to be incapable of managing property. The director is found to be incapable by any court in Canada or elsewhere. The director has a status of bankrupt. The director ceases to be a member. It is determined that in the academic semester immediately prior to the commencement of office, the director failed to carry at least 2.5 GPA. So it's basically the same things that we covered there. This next point, the 6th point, also speaks to what Paul just explained. The 7th point being that the director fails to maintain a 2.5 GPA for each academic semester completed by the director during the term of office. So in order for directors to retain their position in the student union, in their capacity in the Student Administrative Council, it's very important for them to carry forward this GPA for the entire term. The director becomes an employee of the FSU. So in that case, they'll have to stop being a director. Ceasing to hold office. A director ceases to hold office when the director dies, resigns, is removed from office by the members, or becomes disqualified to serve. Instead of using the term as a director, we've just, for better clarity, says a director falling under one or more of the following categories set out in section 8.3b. So again, we've cross-linked the sections. Resignation. So the change point B is attendance without permission of the Student Administrative Council at more than 4 meetings of the Student Administrative Council by telephonic or electronic means, unless such director is permanently or temporarily residing outside of London or London, Ontario, or for health reasons. In-person meetings are prohibited or should otherwise be avoided. So we didn't have this clause pre-COVID, so we thought it'd be a good idea to put it in the bylaws. Failure to comply with these bylaws. So a director will have to resign from his position or be removed if they fail to comply with these bylaws. The letters pattern of the student union as amended, replaced, or continued from time to time, and or applicable policies and procedures, including those related to director responsibilities, duties, all of those. There's not much of a change there, just a housekeeping change towards the end. Okay, and this last point that we've added, so director will have to resign or be removed from his position if their action threaten or harm the reputation and goodwill of the student union. I think that's a very important point in all organizations. So that's been incorporated into it as well. A point that we've removed is failure to maintain a 2.5 GPA during the previous full-time academic semester. So as we said that previously, you had to maintain it sorry. Paul, do you mind explaining this change a bit?
I think it's already, because, could you start?
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not part of the resignation, it's part of the ineligibility section. So remember we had the 3 categories to be eligible to run as a candidate on the board, to be eligible to take office on the board, and to eligible to maintain the board. That's where the GPA is in. So the GPA is about eligibility. This is the section on resignation, about
Right.
performance and responsibilities.
Yeah, so this E point, sorry, I didn't realize.
That's okay.
So the E point, yeah, actually basically is again cross-linking it to what we've covered. I was a bit confused why was this striked off?
Yeah, because it's just duplicating what's already in the previous section.
Right. Okay, thank you. So removal, again, the only point added is the members may by special resolution pass at a special meeting of members remove any director from office before the expiration of the director's term and may in accordance with applicable policies. So we've just like highlighted the policies that apply in that particular case. Elect a qualified individual to fill the resulting vacancy for the remainder of the term of the director so removed, failing which such vacancy may be filled by the Student Administrative Council. So if a director is removed from their position, as you might already know, we conducted by-elections, to fill in positions. So this point speaks of that as well. Vacancies. So subject to section 8.6, which talks about the removal of a director, a vacancy of the Student Administrative Council filled for the remainder of the term by a qualified individual by ordinary resolution of the Student Administrative Council in accordance with applicable policies. So vacancy shall not be filled if the vacancy occurs less than 2 months prior to the next annual general meeting, unless the vacancy will bring the number of directors below the required numbers set out in legislation or the letters patent as amended, replaced, or continued from time to time, or bylaws of the student union. Remuneration and expenses. The directors and officers, so we've just included who the officers of the student union are, other than the president and general manager, may receive nominal remuneration in accordance with policies of the Student Administrative Council. So the remuneration of the president and general manager shall be dictated by the terms of their employment. No changes there. Okay, committees. So we've just removed this point about committees and just rephrased it. So if you want to just quickly have a look at what it was. And then, yeah. A committee may formulate its own rules or procedures subject to such direction as the Student Administrative Council may from time to time give. Any committee members may be removed by resolution of the Student Administrative Council. A majority of the members of a committee shall constitute a quorum.
Could I add something, Katie? Just a little bit above that, where D was crossed. It's still on the screen there. What's included there is if the number of directors on SAC, if the number of directors on the SAC is 6 or more, right? So if you're less than 6, then you're not going to be able to form subcommittees, right? You're already a smaller group. If you're 6 or more, the SAC may appoint, and SAC, of course, as we talked about, is the board, Student Admin Council, may appoint 1 or more advisory committees. But they shall not delegate authority of the board to committees. So these are advisory committees. It's basically trying to clarify that at the end of the day, the board is responsible and can not delegate that responsibility. They can delegate just standing committees or subcommittees that can do some advisory work that would provide recommendations back to the board. So it's very important. It's really just to try to clarify the responsibility of the board, even in relationship to legal requirements. As a board, you're ultimately the directors as a board are ultimately responsible for those decisions.
Thanks, Paul. No changes here. Okay. So this basically speaks of, the meetings of the Student Administrative Council, who all are in attendance of it. So the attendees, initially it was just the president, but we clarified on the role of the president a bit, then on the role of the general manager and the board of governors student representative, as well as the administrative assistant, just to give a more perspective on what they do. So the president, one part.
Sorry, Katie, go ahead. I was just going to say, I thought you'd done that. I apologize. I was going to say there's no change. It's just adding, as Katie said, clarity to the to who is able to attend the board meetings that are not directors, voting directors, but to also now clarify what the role is there.
Right. So the president of the student union, who will be an employee and officer of the student union, but not a director, and who will attend meetings of the Student Administrative Council for the purpose of answering questions raised by the Student Administrative Council relating to matters over which the president has authority. We'll touch on the subjects that the president has authority on a bit later. The general manager of the student union, or such other title, whatever, with the different title who holds the successor position of the general manager, if we ever change the title of the job. The general manager who been employee and officer of the student union, but not a director, and who will attend meetings of the Student Administrative Council for the purpose of answering questions raised by the Student Administrative Council relating to operational matters. The Board of Governors student representative, who will not be an officer or director of the student union, and who will attend meetings of the Student Administrative Council for the purpose of keeping the Fanshawe College Board of Governors and the Student Administrative Council aware of each other's activities. The administrative assistant, who will be an employee of the student union, but not an officer or director of the student union, and who will attend meetings of the Student Administrative Council for the purpose of taking minutes on behalf of the secretary. As you all probably already know, so the secretary of the board is basically responsible for taking down the minutes of the meeting, but they're allowed to delegate their task to the administrative assistant, who is in attendance at these meetings as well. Appointment. So we've just cut that point. A director may be appointed to any other office of the student union. We've put better wording around the general manager and president. So two or more offices may be held by the same person. The election of officers other than the president and general manager shall be conducted in accordance with the policies and procedures of the Student Administrative Council. This basically speaks about the role of officers. The secretary. The secretary shall be a director and shall either directly or through delegation to a staff member, as we covered above, about the secretary delegating, taking down the minutes of the meeting to the administrative assistant, attend and be the secretary of all the meetings of the Student Administrative Council, members and committees of the Student Administrative Council. The secretary shall delegate the authority to enter or cause to be entered in the student administrative minute book, minutes of all proceedings at such meeting. The secretary shall give or cause to be given, as and when instructed, notices to members, directors, the auditors, members of the committees. The secretary shall delegate the authority to be the custodian of all books, papers, records, documents, and other instructions belonging to the student union. So it's basically, this point speaks about delegation of authority for the sole purpose of taking minutes and maintaining records. Okay. So the president shall not be a director. The roles and responsibilities of the president are further set out in section 10.4. The general manager, again, these speak of the various officers that there are, and their roles are highlighted in individual sections that are cross-linked over here. So the Student Administrative Council may add additional officers to the student union from time to time, whose powers and duties shall be dictated by any relevant employment contract, as well as the applicable policies and procedures of the Student Administrative Council. Vacancy in the office. So we've just striked out that point and changed the language to the Student Administrative Council may, in accordance with any applicable employment legislation and government policies, remove. So it's basically a housekeeping change for better wording. We've changed the points, as an A, B, C, D. That's all that we've done. Okay. If the office of any office of the student union other than the president becomes vacant, the Student Administrative Council may by resolution appoint or hire a person to fill such vacancies. So as you all know, the president is an elected position. So for that, in order to change the president, if at all, there'd have to be by election. But if there's an officer, for example, the general manager were to resign, or that position be vacant, the board has that responsibility to appoint or hire a person to fill that position. The duties of the president during a vacancy shall be assumed by the finance coordinator or another individual designated by the Student Administrative Council until a by-election is held by the members. So in the interim, so this point basically speaks of what happens in the interim. The finance coordinator acts as the acting president till the by-elections are held to replace the president. Try to fill in the position of the president. President of the student union. So this point speaks about, better clarity what the role of a president is. So the president shall be elected by the members for a one-year term, starting on May 1st of the year, elected and ending on April 30th of the following year. The election of the president shall be governed by the policies and procedures of the Student Administrative Council and confirmed by the members at the annual general meeting. So anyone who falls within one or more of the following categories will not be eligible to be nominated for election as a president. So this speaks about the nomination. The only change that we've made here, again, as you would see just the same change as we did with the director. So anybody who is not a member, so we striked off that 10 days of the date of election or appointment as a director line. Anybody who did not complete at least one full-time semester during the current fiscal year of the student union. So from May 1st to April 30th. Anyone who did not carry at least a GPA of 2.5 during the last full-time academic semester completed by such individual prior to the elections. Anyone who had previously served at least 6 months in the office of the president. So for example, a student were to serve only 3 months as the president, they would be allowed to rerun for their position next year. But anybody who's served at least 6 months or more than that doesn't get to do it a second time.
Can I add something, Katie? And I think it's pretty clear there, but I think I just wanted to itemize one thing, that with regard to the president, it's a little bit different than the director. To eligibly stand for office, you need to, as it says, completed one semester. This is so you would have had to, so a member that was became enrolled for the first time at Fanshawe College in the winter semester would not be eligible to run for election as president. Yes, they could for director, but not for president. The thinking of the board and that doesn't change the situation with the current bylaws. It's just make it more clear is that you want a president to have at least experienced some active membership within the student union at least one semester before they run for election.
Thanks, Bob. So anyone who falls within one or more of the following categories will not be eligible to take office as president. So these are again those categories. Most of them are same as the ones for directors. There's no changes there. The only change that I could see is in 0.5. So anyone who did not carry at least a 2.5 GPA during the full-time academic semester immediately prior to the commencement of office, if the GPA for such semester has been determined by the time of commencement of office. So the president would automatically be disqualified from continuing to serve as the president if one or more of the following events occurs during their term. Again, it's very similar to what the terms for directors were. You have to be mentally capable of managing property. You have to be, is found to be, you have to be capable by any court in Canada or elsewhere. You cannot be bankrupt. And the president's GPA for full-time academic semester immediately prior to office is determined to be less than 2.5. In that case, you will not be allowed to continue in your position. This is basically what the role of a president is. So the president shall be the voice of the members and the spokesperson and official representative of the student union to the general public, governmental bodies, the members, Fanshawe College, and third parties such as other student organizations. As Chief Executive Officer of the Student Union, the President shall, in consultation with the General Manager, have general supervision and direction over matters relating to advocacy, communications, and public relations of the Student Union, all in accordance with the policies and procedures of the SAC that delegate such authority to the President. Paul, do you want to say something?
I think you covered it, I think, quite well there, Katie.
Okay. The President's right and obligation shall be governed by applicable legislation and any contract with the student union, as well the policies and procedures of the SAC.
Yeah, I think it's important. That's very important to clarify that, the president has to, serve the best interests of the student union by law under the governing laws, as well as the policies and procedures, internal governing policies and procedures of the board. So the president has to carry out the duties in accordance with those two things.
Good. The president shall be an employee and officer of the student union, but shall not be a director on the Student Administrative Council SAC. The president shall report directly to the Student Administrative Council. The Student Administrative Council shall determine the terms of employment, including remuneration of the president. So all these changes were done with the board that was in the previous year, and these changes will be applicable to anybody who is elected as president for the next year, 21-22. So the SAC gets to determine the terms of employment and remuneration, General Manager. The Student Administrative Council shall, on behalf of the student union, have the authority to hire, supervise, discipline, evaluate, and remove a general manager in accordance with human resources policies and procedures. The Student Administrative Council shall determine the terms of employment, including remuneration of the general manager. Again, very similar to the president. This happened with the previous board last year. So the last year's board approved, the terms of employment and the remuneration for the general manager for this year, and the board this year will approve it for the incoming president, and have a look at the general manager's remuneration and discuss it as a group. Okay. The general manager shall, in consultation with the president, have general supervision over and direction of the operations of the student union and its staff, other than the president and any staff member directly reporting to the president. So any staff member that doesn't report to the general manager would be the coordinators, for example, the advocacy and communications coordinator, the finance coordinator, the student life coordinator, who are members of the executive team. They are the ones who will not report to the general manager. But other than that, the general supervision and direction of operations and its staff is the responsibility of the general manager, all in accordance with policies and procedures of the Student Administrative Council that delegates such authority to the general manager. The general manager's rights and obligations shall be governed by applicable legislation in any contract with the student union, as well as the policies and procedures of the Student Administrative Council. The general manager shall be an employee and officer of the student union, but shall not be a director on the Student Administrative Council. The general manager shall report to the shall directly report to the Student Administrative Council, which is the board of directors. So previously, the general manager used to report, like previously as till today, the general manager used to report to the president, and the president used to directly report to the board. But this is what has changed. This is a major change that has occurred. So now the general manager shall directly be accountable to the board. Of course, the president and general manager will always be working together, operationally. They're both hand in glove to all decisions that are made. But, for more clarity and more accountability, and to make things work in a more efficient manner, these changes were made. Okay. No change there. Paul, do you have something to add to that?
No, I think you covered it, Katie. It's to add clarity, accountability, transparency. As I think I can speak for them. Me as the current general manager, and even my predecessors, I've never felt that they were not accountable to the board. But this adds the specific clarity, not just in protocols and policies, but right into the bylaws, which are approved by the members. It's very important, and it protects the student union, it protects the board, it protects the members. So thank you, Katie. I think you explained it very well, and well done.
Of course, Paul. And it's also fair. Why I'll just briefly explain a bit about it. Just because the president is on a one-year contract, right? And they don't have the necessary information, though all the staff members and the general manager do a great role in briefing the president. But they have to have had that experience in the organization to be taking accountability on certain things. Like a good fitting example would be the finances, right? Because it's so difficult for someone just to come into their role just for a meager one-year time and then realize and take accountability and authority for all the finances. So the general manager, just because they've been in that position for a longer time, has a better idea of what's going on. Though the president is previously used to be accountable for any decisions around fees, finances, that sort of thing. But now the general manager has direct accountability to the board, and which is a fair thing, right, Paul?
Absolutely. I think it provides a stronger stewardship and clarity. 100%, Katie.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, the only change in 11, sorry, you might have seen the red. The only change there is just referencing, it's a very housekeeping in 11.4, just the item above it. But there's no changes in that section.
Right.
There's no changes to these sections. That talks about, required notice, as I mentioned earlier, required notice to the members, right, from the board on any actions. It could be referendums, plebiscites, amendment of the bylaws, what we're doing today.
Right. and enacted, we'll put the date in. So
Yeah, exactly. Enacted is when it was approved by the board. And then we'll put that date in. It was approved when it was approved by the board, but confirmed by the members. That would be today's date. If the membership supports these changes as recommended, then that would be the confirmation date of the members. And then it would be basically enacted at that time. Sorry, confirmed at that time. Not enacted, but confirmed.
okay. So I'm just gonna stop screen sharing. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it over to Katie.
Thank you, Katyani, for explaining very and we understood a lot of things in that. Paul, you want to explain the motion thing?
Yeah. So the next step is we've gone through the presentation. Thank you, Katie, and there'll be an opportunity for questions and discussion prior to the vote of the members. But before that happens, there would have to be before you have a vote, you need to have someone move it, someone who supports and moves these amendments, someone who seconds it, just as we did at the beginning of the meeting. At that point in time, we'll pause, and your chair, KD, will ask all those here, the members, if there's any questions they have, and we'll go through those questions if there are any. After their questions have been completed, then your chair, KD, will then call a vote. Okay, those that motioned and seconded, if you motion and second, you have to continue. You have to. That means you're already voting in favor, so you're actually supporting it. All other members would have an opportunity to vote on these changes. And the plan to proceed with the vote, the methodology would be a vote by objection. So if you are not in favor, if you object to, therefore you're not in favor, you are opposed to these changes, your chair will call for notice of objection, which you will then indicate on the chat. Okay, so everybody can, if there's any problems using the chat, just let us know. But when that call for vote happens, indicate on the chat if you do not support, you are opposed, you object to these changes. If you do not indicate that objection, then you would then alternatively support them. So majority rules, in accordance with your bylaws, if there is anybody that objects, you'll be asked if you have, for an opportunity, if you so choose to, indicate your objection, what you're not in favor of. You'll also be asked if you want, you're choosing, if you want your objection to be noted in the minutes. You have that opportunity for full transparency. So that'll be the vote methodology. It's very important to be clear on it before we start, right? So before we turn it back to your chair, to call for a motion and second, and then any objections, before we go ahead with that, please ask if you were unclear of the process before we started. If there are any members here that are concerned, they're not sure exactly how the process will work for the vote. All clear. I see the one. Yep, I see the one chat. All clear. So I'm hearing no other chats or comments or concerns. We'll assume that everybody's clear on the process. Thank you for that. It's very important. Sounds great to me. Thank you, Garrett. Good. So we'll turn it back to your chair, KD, and then you can then take it from here and ask for a mover.
Okay, cool. So can I have a motion to approve the proposed bylaws amendments?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Okay.
I'm
Would
sorry,
like to...
can you just clarify who did the motion, who first did, please?
That was Suman.
Perfect, thank you.
Suman moved it, and someone would like to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, cool. So is there any further discussion on the amendments?
Any questions or discussion?
Any questions or discussions anyone would like to have on this?
So I don't have any objection or anything, but I just have a small concern.
Okay.
The thing is, there was one point where the students who are doing their co-op, even they could be a part of the FSU board, right?
Sorry, you're asking if in these proposed changes, will they be able to be on the board?
Yeah, there was one point where even the co-op students could be part of the, could be a member.
That is correct. That a student on co-op will not be in a position that they will be ineligible as long as they're progressing into within a program. So if a student is an example, would be maybe in registered and in academic classes in the summer semester, but on co-op in the fall and returning to academic classes in the winter, that they would not be in a position to have to resign. There are many more students on co-op, and the board felt through a lot of discussion that it was unfair to penalize a student that was progressing properly and academically through a program. So yes, they would be able to be on co-op as long as they're in an existing program and progressing. They could be on co-op at any one of the 3 semesters.
Okay, so my concern is, so when they're doing the co-op, they would be working full-time and their commitment would be full-time to a particular field, right? Like wherever they're doing the co-op in any particular company. So will they be able to give enough time to FSU at that time? And what if they're not able to, attend the meetings or anything?
Yeah, they would be, meetings would be scheduled around academic schedules or work schedules. We would do that. But to answer your question, Nazneen, if a member who becomes a director and happens to be on co-op is unable to fulfill their direct responsibilities of a director, and that's already itemized in the bylaws. So if they're not able to fulfill those duties because of their, for a variety of reasons, it could be co-op, it could be that they chose the other interests, a heavy academic schedule, they need to be able to manage their workload in whatever capacity. If they're unable to do that, to your question, I can't remember the exact section. It's in there. I can't remember the number, but it's under the obligations, duties, responsibilities of a director, right? To be able to maintain your office or actually having to resign, and that's in the section there, Nazneen. They would absolutely have to be able to provide those responses. And there's many students, quite honestly, too, Nazneen, as you know, the reality is hopefully none. We'd love to see 100% of students on co-op. They're in a co-op employment situation, but there are many students that are actually on a co-op semester officially, but are actually not employed. There are students in that situation, but they have to, regardless, in whatever capacity they're in, fulfill the responsibilities.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Paul.
Okay. So any other questions or discussion from anyone else? Okay, I don't see that. So I'll call for vote. So if you have any objections, you have to write it in the chat line. You can just put it message, and I'll wait for a minute or two to see if anyone has any objections. Okay, so we don't have anyone. Just Cole wants to abstain, but we have the majority of votes. So the motion is approved.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, the motion is approved. But Cole, just for records, do you want to have your abstention noted and indicate that it's for personal reasons, perhaps a personal conflict based on the changes, and that can be the case. And I think you've indicated that in the past at the board meeting. But for the purposes of the membership meeting, do you want to indicate that on the record that it was because of a personal conflict that could happen?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got that, Bonnie, then, right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, members and everybody, directors and all members. And it's still in your court there, Mr. Chair.
Yep. I would like to ask, the other thing is other business from the members. Would anyone like to add anything or any questions in this meeting? You can speak up now. Okay, I don't see anything. So last part of the meeting, motion to adjourn this meeting.
Oh, Kavala, can I just add like a
Yeah.
quick comment
Yeah,
before?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to say that this session has been very productive. All these changes will go a long way in helping us serve our members, which is all of you, in a more efficient manner. So thank you so much for your time and for participating as interested and actively engaged members of the Student Union. Wish you good luck with your exams and happy holidays.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, that's a very important point.
Well said. Thank you.
Yep, important point. Thank you guys for volunteering and joining us up and giving your time. Really appreciate it. So last part, motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Good luck to the
Bye.
rest of
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Have a good night. Take care,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
For our next meeting, do we have a different link or it's the same thing that we are continuing on?